Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second installment of this little mini-series I'm doing where I explain my thought process behind a game I play of Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 from the Protoss perspective. I am a Masters player, not terribly high, not terribly low, I'm probably right in the middle. I haven't been playing too much lately, and I'm trying to get back into it. I've been super busy. I am a full-time student, and I have other obligations as well, so kind of difficult to get my ladder on, I guess is the best way to describe it. But that being said, if you haven't seen the first one, definitely go check it out. It was a PvP on Shakura's Plateau. This is going to be a PvT, Protoss versus Terran. On the map of ESV Cloud Kingdom, I'm the Protoss player in the top right-hand location. My opponent is in the bottom left. He is the blue Terran player, dogbox. Now, just a little bit of a disclaimer if you didn't watch the last one. I reserve the right. This is not going to be, you know, a general cast like I usually do it. Usually when I cast, I try to be very professional, no profanity. You know, I don't like rewind the replay or anything. I just straight up cast the 1 vs 1 replay straight through, get excited. But here, you know, I'm not going to get excited when engagements happen. I'm just going to, you know, from a analytical point of view, you know, evaluate what's going on, my perspective, and explain what happened in the game, and what my goals were, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So that being said, some important things happening already. You're noticing I'm scouting on 9. I don't usually do this. In fact, this is the only map I probably scout on 9 on, and there's a reason why. On this map, not a lot of people know this, so you are lucky if you're watching this video. I know not too many people watch it. It's not like, you know, this video gets hundreds of thousands of views. So if you're watching this, you're about to get a pretty cool tip that not a lot of people know on the ladder. What you can do on this map, you can put a pylon right here where my mouse is. I'm putting a box there. You can put a pylon in between those top 2 minerals and above the 2 up there. You can trap up to 4 SCVs down there, actually up to unlimited SCVs, just depending on how many are there. But at this point in the game, usually you can get 3 or 4, sometimes 5 if you're really lucky, and one of these SCVs come over here to the middle and try to mine. But anyway, what we can also try to do is, when you get over here, mine one of these minerals with the probes, because usually your opponent will try to double stack, and then naturally one of those SCVs will go down here. And then try to put the pylon right there, and it'll trap those SCVs, and also get you some good scouting information for the future. You can see if a marine's attacking it. If he attacks it with this SCVs, you can cancel it. If he attacks with the marauder, hooray, you know he's going marauders. If you can see his gases too. But that being said, kind of beat that point to death. Just try to do that. It's definitely worth it. You gotta be good about doing that. Behind this, I'm going for a quick expansion. I'll touch on that in a second. I got supply blocks pretty darn badly. This is not a good build at all, so probably don't try to do this. But I guess if you ever get supply blocked dramatically, go for that expansion, because you're not going to be able to spend any money on anything else that's, you know, efficient. And considering I did see the lack of gases on his side of the map, I felt relatively safe going for this fast expand. And he is doing quite a fast expand. I think it was right after barracks, probably around, I think, yeah, just after the racks, right when he got enough money. So yeah, I felt comfortable doing that. But again, make sure he doesn't have any gases if you're going to do something like that. So that's pretty much the only reason you do that. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for a zealot, 2 stalkers, and then expanded behind that, as my warp gate was about 20 or 30%. But that being said, again, I was supply blocked, so I went for that fast expansion. But also want to touch on really quickly my initial pylon placement. I used to put my pylon right next to the nexus, but as you can see, the area of this circle, there's a lot of area right now. I can build a lot of stuff around it. Now, if the pylon is next to the nexus, you know, you can't do that as much, because pretty much 1/4 of that area is going to be the nexus. So, you know, I've started putting my pylons just on the right side, and my gateway can snug nice in between the nexus and the pylon. Then I have a lot of space to build stuff on the other side. So that's the logic there. Also, getting your pylon just outside of your natural expansion, relatively important. So at this point in the game, I'm really focusing on chrono boosting those probes, getting those out ASAP. I took a really fast expansion. I want to get both of these saturated really quickly. I also saw that he expanded with my stalker. I have a good idea. Again, I saw the lack of the lack of 2 gases, and then some of you might say, oh, he could have done a heavy barracks all in. You know, sure, he could have, but he didn't. So again, that's a risk. That's a risky run. I think he probably would have killed me if he had done that, but he didn't do it. So I guess we're handy dandy. But if you're scared of that, again, that's why you get the zealot and the 2 stalkers out. I actually played a PvT. How long ago was it? It was like 3 days ago, where my Terran opponent, he went for that sort of play, and I got a zealot and 2 stalkers out, and it's not too hard to deal with at all. But that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. Back to the game. Yeah, just taking my natural expansion, getting that probe count up. I want my economy to be smashing, to to use a British term, so shout out to all my European viewers. Again, there I go generalizing all of Europe as being British. But in any case, adding on my 2 gateways, got my second cast relatively quickly, got my robo out, getting that observer out is really important so you know what's coming. After the observer, it's probably important to get an immortal out. You know, of course, a lot of people like skipping directly to that Colossi, but I really like the immortal just to stay comfortable. Of course, it does that bonus damage to Marauders. Quite a beefy unit as well. Also adding on 2 gateways. I think I could add on a couple more too. Getting a sentries out earlier was pretty important to build up that mana. Ooh, I don't think he was in my army for a long time. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But this is a pretty interesting move. He moved 2 Marines and a Marauder to the Watchtower, and I was able to back away without losing that Stalker. Very important to have map control, Watchtower control right there. But what's really cool about this is he moved his 2 Marines and Marauder forward, and he hit all this behind. So I don't necessarily know he has a push coming. Of course, I have an idea because, you know, I know Terran players do that. So I have an observer going down the attack path likely to be used by him, which is right here, and I do see what's going on. So at this point, I'm following him with my observer. I don't have enough units at all to deal with this yet. So I'm probably going to move over here to force field this off if he goes that way, but he's going a different way. He's going up the top, which is going to give me a lot more time to prepare. I think my immortal just came out. Oh, no, I didn't have this sentry in my army. That makes me very sad. But he does scan, and he sees this, feels confident, decides to engage. I get 3 more zealots in. I feel confident too, so I put down some force fields. You got to make sure you micro your stuff so your weakened stuff doesn't die. And it looks like he is going to back off because I have way too much. Also, oh, I thought I got, okay, never mind. I was about to add something that I did, but I didn't do it. Yeah, pylons, top left, bottom right. Nice for spotting those that drop play. And right here, as Marines and Marauders are backing up, I have my observer, you know, watching that. And at this point, I feel pretty confident I can take that. I think I have a second immortal coming along the way. Yep, there it is. And at this point, I feel confident to engage that, so I move forward. He scans me, though. That was a decent scan. Ooh, and this was like a really weird situation. I'm going to pause really quick. So right here, like, I'm completely confident I can tear him apart with this army. And I can to a certain extent. These 2 immortals represent so much firepower. You can soak up so much damage, especially look at all the Marauders he has. Also, I have those force fields to siphon off half the army if I want to, or a large majority of the army. And again, I'm in control here. So, you know, he scans me here, and this is interesting because when he scans me, you know, he knows I'm trying to find him. So now he has to be like, okay, once this scan goes away, I'm not going to be able to see him. I have my observer. I can see him this whole time. He doesn't know I have this observer, though. So if you think about it from his point of view, he thinks that he scanned me and that I'm probably going to be tentative because I don't know where he is. I don't know where he's going. So he's going to be very, you know, what's the best way to describe it? He's going to be, you know, trying to dodge me, basically. Yeah, but I have the observer, so I'm gonna use that to my advantage and try to find him. So I back up. I want to throw the scan off, pretending I don't know where he is, because I do know exactly where he is, but he doesn't know I know where he is. So he starts moving across the map. He's like, oh god, I hope he doesn't engage me. I hope he doesn't engage me. But I bring an observer forward, and then I'm just trying to cut him off. I don't want him to get away, and of course I engage right here. Force fields were decent, not the best force fields. This force field should have been back here. So it would have been a nice little C, but I screwed that up. So all these zealots are going to be nice and pocketed in there, and they won't be able to do as much damage as they would have been able to in the first place. But I still have a pretty beefy composition here, and that force field was absolutely terrible. And I'm going to back away, which is fine because I don't have any energy. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm done with that. That was fun while it lasted. And Dropbox, he's going to retreat as well. So at this point, relatively even game. I'm up 92 to 90 supply, but again, relatively the same. Behind this, putting down 2 forges, getting my upgrades, also getting my robotics bay. Going to go into colossal production. My gas count is good. My mineral count is good. Income tab shows 55 to 53 in favor of myself. Again, relatively even all across the board. So right now, main goals. Take my 3rd. I had the money to do it, so I went ahead and did it. I was happy with that engagement. Also on this map, you know, you can defend this. You can definitely defend this 3rd, and it's also conveniently located. Drop play, not the best on this map. Honestly, if you put a cannon like right here, that pretty much negates a large majority of drop play, which is exactly what I had on mine there. I put down that pylon. Also, he's scanning. It was a really nice scan from him. Able to see my Nexus timing. Also, I think I put a cannon back here. Yes, I do. But yeah, not a lot of airspace. Actually, pretty much 0 airspace back here. So it's not like a map like, you know, any other map like Shattered Temple, where they can just hide. No, that's a terrible example. That's like probably the worst example I could have thrown out there. What map? No, not even. That's a bad example too. Maps with large airspace. why is my mind like completely blank right now? Shakuris. There's a lot of airspace in the back where you can hide your medevacs and keep them there for a long time. So yeah, that's why a lot of Protoss players don't like playing with Shakuris. But in any case, there's not a lot of airspace back here, so drops aren't too big of a deal. Again, make sure you have a cannon here and down here. Also, again, late game Protoss versus Terran, you're probably going to have a decent amount of gas or a decent amount of minerals in the later game because you're prioritizing those gases for Templars, for Colossi. So again, don't be afraid to throw cannons down here and there. So it looks like he wants to do some aggression towards my third. He has 2 ghosts in this composition. That's a little bit scary, but I have a Colossus on the way. But this is good timing for him. My Colossus isn't out yet. Thermal Lance is just about to finish. And I think I built a couple of Observers before getting a Colossus. So I don't have a Colossus in this engagement. Let's see what happens. Right here, again, this is very important. Spreading out your units, getting that concave. He's going to try to come up here. Obviously, I want to be prepared. I want to keep my units split so it doesn't EMP all my stuff. So ideally he comes up, I force field down, and then I attack with everything with a nice concave. But you know, I don't want to get sucked in to this like vacuum area where my units would lose their concave. So I want him to commit like up to here before I engage. So you'll see me backing up with all my units in a second here, and then engaging and then trying to force field down the bottom of the ramp. Also, you know what I could have done is just force field to the bottom right away so I can get my Colossi out. That's a really important unit. Obviously, if I have Colossus, he has no Vikings here, I would win this no matter what. So that would have probably been a better decision for me, putting force fields at the bottom, not even letting him engage here. But in any case, he's going to come up here. I'm backing up my units, don't want to engage just yet. Let him commit a little bit, and then finally I go forward. He throws down some EMPs, but I get some decent force fields down and able to clean up the front half of that army. Also, reinforcements as Protoss player. Always have a pylon up here wherever you're defending, so you can reinforce right away. It's huge for you. Also right here, I could have thrown down an additional layer of force fields behind him, but I wasn't able to do that. This sentry does have the energy. See, like I tried to with that sentry, I think. But he's just going to back away. So that was a very good engagement for me. So again, I feel very comfortable. You know, there's safety right here. Whenever you win an engagement, you have a period of safety where you can, you know, afford to tech up a little bit, afford to get some upgrades, and prioritize, you know, upgrades and economy rather than necessarily getting your unit production up. But right now it looks like I'm continuing with the Colossi production. Charge is almost done. I should start these pretty soon. I think I wanted to, but I didn't quite have the money. Also, I'm deciding I want to take this expansion to the top left. A little bit of a risk, but again, I feel like I'm far enough ahead where I can merit taking a little risk here and there. So I think I do end up taking this in the top left, and you're wondering, okay, why don't you take this one? Well, these expansions in the top left and the bottom right, they're very obscure. You know, if your opponent isn't like actively scouting, they're never going to see it, which is another purpose of these pylons, to scout for any ninja expansions. I think that might come into play later on in this game. But in any case, I think I end up taking that pretty soon here. I start my upgrades for my +2/+2. Very fun indeed. I'm trying to take some map control. My map vision isn't incredible at all. In fact, I don't think I have any observers on the field. I have one observer on the field, and he scans me. I think he scanned up here, and he's like, oh, where's his army? And then he scans down here. Don't do that as a Terran player. You're just wasting scans. Send an SCV, try to find out where I am. But if you just start scanning everywhere on the map looking for my army, what if I was like up here with my army? You'd be scanning everywhere. You'd be wasting all that command center energy. But anyway, Dark Shrine, I'm going for that because, again, you know, when you get ahead, you can afford to do these, you know, I don't want to say cheesy things, but, you know, Dark Shrine is definitely a hit or miss type structure. If he has turrets, you could theoretically lose, you know, all your DTs if they defend it well, and then they're good for nothing. Of course, you could say, oh, you can just warp in Dark Templars and make him an Archon, sure, but then you're still losing that initial investment by throwing him at their base and not doing any damage whatsoever. I think I had a second robo here. Yes, I did. Pretty important if you want to continue your Colossus production and get some more prisms out, maybe some observers. Why am I not building out of that robo? What? Are you serious right now? That's actually a little bit upsetting. Alright, whatever. 2-2 almost done. Getting my upgrades. Again, I'm trying to find any additional bases from him, making sure he's not getting a fourth, considering I'm getting a fourth in the top left. And if I can get a fourth up, get that saturated, get that nice and juicy, and I can prevent him from getting a fourth, you know, I essentially win the game. I have the economic advantage, able to produce so many more units, and able to get much meatier units, and he has no chance whatsoever. But right now, he is maxed. Ideally, he'd be hitting like right this second. Ooh, scanning above his army, just wasting that. Not able to kill any observers because I don't have any over his army. Also, I think I got observer speed. Yep, I love that upgrade. Really good upgrade to get, especially late game when you have a lot of money and a lot of gas. How How many colossi should you get? You're probably asking. I think I get 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is a good amount. Again, you know, gas is pretty important in this matchup. I feel like 4 to 6 is probably the ideal amount. And then the rest, having charge lots and high templars are pretty good. And then stalkers, of course, to take out those Vikings. But it looks like I'm getting some observers out on the map. It's really good. You want your map vision. Yep, sending him out to various locations. Look how fast they are. They're so fast. Get that upgrade. Get that observer speed upgrade, especially in the late game. And he scans. Look at that random scan. What a jerk. He does have a lot of ghosts here. A decent amount of Vikings upgrades. Looks like they're 1-1 to my 2-2, so I'm slaughtering him in upgrades. But it's all going to come down to where you engage. On this map, it's really important. I guess I could have handled this better by just not letting him get this high ground at all. I should have had my army there in position so that he'd have to come up one of these ramps to engage me. But as it stands, my 4th or my 5th here, I guess you could call it, is very exposed. Also, my army was way on the other side of the map. So this army kind of takes me off guard, but I'm going to engage it anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, throwing down the Guardian Shields is pretty important. He's going to try to EMP me. He gets some EMPs off. They were good EMPs too. He hits a lot of Vikings in here. Also really good from him. He backed his Marines and Marauders all the way back, which is really good. It makes my Colossi have to go that much further and absorb that much more Viking damage. But I should clean this up. I think I actually have to back away. I kill all of his Vikings. That's pretty important. Immediately start 2 Colossi. Whenever Terran lands all of their Vikings, start making this Colossi again. But again, I lose most of my army, but here I warp into Dark Templar, and ooh, look, he's trying to build a ninja expansion. So yeah, warp into Dark Templar, get some Zealots in here. Those are able to clean this up relatively easily. I don't have enough Stalkers to take out these medevacs though, which is kind of unfortunate for me. But funnily enough, like the only medevac he loaded his stuff into, I did not take him out. That's a little bit upsetting. Oh, blink forward. Go get him, Stalker. No, he's just gonna back away. So yeah, so at this point you're like, oh my god, you just lost your army, you're dead. Well, this is what's winning me the game right now. This is what's winning me the game. He does not know I have this in the top left. That is fully saturated pretty much. So that's doing just fine for me. Got both those gases saturated as well. My money and gas is awesome. And he thinks I'm on 3 bases. So he's probably pretty confident right now. Maybe a little bit intrigued, a little bit confused that I was able to reinforce and still kill his army, considering his engagement was so... he got the better of me. Like, he got the better of me in that engagement. He controlled his units nicely. You know, I didn't have high ground. I wasn't able to use force fields. I didn't have any storms. So yeah, he definitely got the better end of that engagement, but again, my reinforcements were able to clean that up. Ooh, I didn't saturate the gas. That's really bad. You should saturate your gases. Saturate your gases. Anyway, dogbox, yeah, resaturating his army. And let's see, what am I doing at this point? I'm just continuing with this upgrades. I have 3-3, which is good. Have this pylon here. I warped in Dark Templar. He's trying to attack my Dark Templar with his SCVs. My Dark Templar is laughing in their faces. And to add insult to injury, I warped some Stalkers here and keep him out of range of that planetary fortress. Also, I kill the SCV building the turret. And then I try to kill the turret, but the turret doesn't end up finishing, and my Dark Templar dies. That's a little bit sad. But yeah, I just hold my position. I just hold position my Stalkers back here, and there's nothing he can do. He has to send some units over there to deal with that, which is actually quite hysterical. So these are going to get a decent amount of kills, and he finally spots this expansion in the top left, and this is important, especially on this map. Where does he go? There's nowhere to run from here. You can try to go down, but I can cut him off. So that's my goal right here. I'm like, okay, he's killing my Nexus, it's fine. I can trap him. So I try to get a good concave here, but he continues up to the top side of the map. He's still pursuing, not turning around. My High Templars, I do have High Templars, I do have Storm, that's pretty important. Decides to engage EMPs my army, I get a nice Storm off, but again, it's a trap for him. He put his army in a terrible location, and I'm able to surround it from both sides, I think, get another High Templar coming forward. And I take it out relatively easy, and at this point, he's definitely behind. I've essentially won the game. I mean, he did take out this Nexus, but all these probes are still alive. I should transfer them over to this Nexus over here. Stalkers blink forward to kill the Medivacs. Kill the Medivacs. Please kill the Medivacs. Kill it. Nice. Also, you can feedbacking Medivacs is good. I don't think... Did I have energy? I had the energy to lay down a couple feedbacks. One feedback. But I didn't do that, so it's all good. Alright, so at this point, I feel really comfortable. You know, what it comes down to right now, I just gotta warp in all my meaty units. I have a lot of money, a lot of gas, warp in a bunch of High Templar, make some Archons. I still have one High Templar here, 4 Storm, so that's good. I don't know what this DT is doing. Maybe the DT and the High Templar should get married and Archon it up. But in any case, like, I have a very comfortable advantage. I see he's trying to take this. I had a Dark Templar here the entire time, though. So she's going to start whacking away at that. He's long-distance mining with most of his SUVs. Oh, my God. He lifted this command center from this base on accident. That is hilarious. Where did this command center go? I'm so confused. Does he have 3 command... He has 3 command centers over here. He lifted all of his command centers. Oh my god, I did not see that. That's actually a little bit hilarious. I would go back and look at it, but I don't want to waste time. That is so funny. Obviously, this game is pretty much over at this point, so that's not going to make a difference. But that's still ridiculously hilarious. I wonder where he's going to send this. Maybe the top left? That's so funny. Why would you... I guess this is not filled up anymore. And I actually saw this, kinda. Like, I'm coming in for attack on the bottom side. But what it's going to come down to here is just not engaging in a planetary fortress, and I'm going to win this game. SUVs come from, like, what are y'all doing? Where's the command center? There it is. What are you doing, dude? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Alright, so I engage here, and I pretty much wipe out his army. I guess there's some micro-intensive things here. Obviously, he has the better concave back here, so I back up a little bit. Priority here is that was a nice storm. Is killing this command center so the concave is gone for him, and then killing his army. I think that's what I do here. Warping in Zealots to add insult to injury, and I don't end up center, which is fine. And he doesn't throws down the GG. So, yeah, he screwed up with his command center, so I guess he was a little tilted perhaps. But yeah, the thing that won me that game was that expansion in the top left-hand location. You know, ninja'd that. Obviously, you know, ideally, in an ideal world, I would have never lost this nexus in the middle of the map here. I could have just, you know, made sure to have this high ground. Like, it's so important on this map. Have control of this high ground. Any matchup, to be honest. Make them engage up the ramps. You have the automatic concave, and it's pretty easy. What else? But yeah, ideally, I would have never lost this nexus had I controlled that correctly. Also, the beginning of the game, take advantage of what you know. I had an observer over his army. He had no idea I had that observer there. He had no idea I knew exactly what he was doing and where he was, and what his children were doing. Actually, that's kind of creepy. That's really weird. But yeah, you know, I was able to see what he was doing, and I was able to follow him and cut him off and destroy him. So that was fun. Anything else I want to say? Again, if you enjoyed this, you know, let me know. Follow me on Twitter if you want, at Axeltoss. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you want. I'll probably do more of these. We'll see if you guys continue to like them. Suggestions are good. Very good. I don't know if there's anything else I want to say. I'm always terrible at closing out my videos, which is kind of unfortunate, and something I should probably think about figuring out how to do. But yeah, again, any questions about gameplay too, feel free to throw them in the comments, and I will address them in the next video, or I will type out comments. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.